they consider an enemy and they give you XP globes, bro. But I'm so happy we have a PTR at this point, you know? So this is why we need a PTR, because last time this bug was on the live server. You see now the bubbles, they now give 10,000 XP. So it just keeps going crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier. Wait, just trying to do this one. Okay, sure. Here it is. So these bubbles now already give me 32,000, guys. Look, one bubble, 32,000 XP, and you only need 800,000. Hey everybody, it's Rob here. The PTR for Season 9, the test server, has ended, and there have been some pretty crazy mechanics here that I sincerely hope are going to be fixed come for the next season. I also want to talk about some of the build and class balance here. So to not debate people into thinking like some of the builds are going to be strong, but most likely a lot of these bugs are obviously going to get nerfed or changed, because this is exactly the point of a PTR, to find these broken interactions. And I'm actually kind of happy, you know, to have a PTR, to find like all this broken stuff. Some of it I'm going to show you here, as well as in the build scenario. So as you see in the intro, guys, there's a crazy method here that we had before already with the Hydra in Nightmare Dungeons. So when you're actually spawning a Hydra and you're spawning another one, the old one disappears, and with this forgotten dungeon, you know, sigil, you actually get a ton of XP here, and this will allow you to level like super fast. So you see here, boom, boom, level 41, level 50. And this just takes like a little bit of time, boom, level 50, and this is like 6 levels here, and you basically can just stand there, summon more Hydras, and you know, it's gonna keep spawning these bubbles that you can then pick, and you know, then you get another level. So this is actually like pretty wild, and this must get changed. And again, this bug already existed in the past in Abattoir of Z. If you remember, people were just sitting at the start, spawning Hydras, and it would give you pit progression, because it would count as a monster kill, like basically you unsummoning your minions counted as a monster kill, and giving you progress. So this obviously is some crazy stuff that has to be fixed. In general, leveling is going to be a lot faster in the upcoming season already with this new dungeon system. And yeah, this is just some stuff that like completely breaks the game. And then as we are on a Sorcerer here, there's also another crazy bug that has been in the game almost forever, that in my opinion has been plaguing the Sorcerer class. And I really hope that we can see finally a proper bug fix for the shatter passive on the Sorcerer. So for those of you who don't know, shatter is like multi-dipping damage multiplier. So if you have something like Inner Calm that gives you 30% damage, it gives you 30% to your base damage, and then what shatter does here is the key passive on a Sorc. It basically converts this base damage into an explosion, and that explosion has like a bug in the math formula where all the damage multipliers are applied again in this very explosion, resulting into some ridiculous damage numbers. This has been plaguing the sorcerers for a long time, and actually makes the Sorc seem so strong on paper, but with shatter and with this bug, we always have a crazy problem against single targets. Sorcerer has an issue with this anyways, but shatter makes it even worse, because shatter only procs in big AoE scenarios. And with this double dipping, you're basically dealing like, you know, 100x the damage that you should be doing in AoE, but then you never can kill the boss. And right now there is, again, an interaction that basically allows the Sorcerer here to be hitting here for like 500 trillions and just a crazy damage amount, but only in AoE, and then you're like struggling at this like 10, 12 minute long boss fights. I really hope they can like rework the shatter passive or fix the bugs and make it into something that also helps the Sorcerer with single target. Because right now this build is just completely nuts. Like I can show you some gameplay here. Like it basically one-shots everything in pit 110. It even one-shots everything in pit 120 if you have the right gear, and doing this with Hydra and the new season mechanic that has activated this shatter double dipping for some reason. Again, very similar to the other stuff. We're going to be talking about the Barb here in this video as well. So just like a ton of bugs that yeah, basically aren't really like so much fun. You can just see like you just basically like walk up to a pack here in 110 and like boom, it gets hits for like 100 trillion. The pack is just dead instantly, and this is just a bug. And I specifically made like an extra tier here in the tier list that I'm drafting. I'm going to make a video about just the class balance coming off the PTR, and then we'll have a final tier list for when the game launches in next month. But this basically is like an extra S+. We could also call this the bugged tier. So I'm fully expecting, you know, the Hydra Sorc itself to remain strong. I really wish the Hydra Sorc remains strong. But I also really hope that they can address shatter. And then if they need, compensate as well for some of this shatter nerf. But in general, like the Hydra Sorc, I think even with other key passives like Combustion or Esus, some people were even playing with Enlightenment, it was already doing like Pit 105 or something. So I think the Sorcerer as a new build, it looks cool, it's fun. And I think it's going to be strong either way, even with a shatter double dipping nerf. But I really hope that the shatter double dipping is going to get a bug fix. And then as we are on the topic of double dipping, there's also another offender here, which is the Spiritborn. So for those of you who've played Spiritborn in the past, obviously the class is not crazy strong, but there's still very many underlying bugs going on. And one is the Jaguar main hall double dipping. You might remember this, you know, from when Season 6 launched, like Spiritborn had like 10,000 bugs, and there's probably still like, you know, a couple of them in the game. And Jaguar main hall double dip is one of them, which basically results in ridiculous damage numbers. And the only thing that's ever doing any damage is the Jaguar proc. And you can never really play like a real build, and all your build is basically revolving around, you know, juicing the Jaguar hall, like using all the multipliers. You basically need to have like a secret knowledge of all the multipliers that are double dipping for Jaguar main hall. And I think this is very unhealthy for the game. So for example, the mythic circles here with the planes power, like this is the kind of stuff that's like all double dipping, like all the mythic circles, all the generic multipliers. And then there's a lot of stuff, for example, Moonrise, that is not double dipping. And it's just like a bunch of mess. It's just like a math problem where all the multipliers get applied again. All the multipliers are in the main attack that you do, and then all the multipliers are multiplied again in the Jaguar 15% damage that you can do here. And this has obviously resulted in Spiritborn being extremely broken in some cases. And I really hope that they can fix this bug and then look at the Spiritborn class and rebalance it accordingly. Because right now there's already like a Pit 115. This can probably do Pit 120 on the Thorn Spiritborn. I really want a strong Thorns build, but it should not be based on bugs. And I think the Thorns build is going to be S tier either way. But we'll have to see with this Jaguar main hall double dipping. This has been plaguing the class forever. And as I said, like, I would like to see a bug fix and then like buffing the class accordingly. But Spiritborn is looking extremely strong right now. It has like probably the Quill Volley is also in S+ tier, also in bug tier, again, because the same double dipping that the Sorcerer is experiencing. And then by far, obviously, the most broken build, you've seen it. This is basically going to be the Barbarian, and you can kind of see here, this is like 150 guy. This works with like any bleed build, and you can just see like how the damage stacks up. Like you're basically starting out here on the boss hitting for like, you know, 3 billion, like kind of bad number. And then it goes up, boom, 24 trillion. Then it goes up to 21,000 trillion. Then it goes up to 77 trillion. Then suddenly you're doing negative damage, and the boss just gets one shot basically in Pit 150. So this is also like an old bug that also is back in the game now, which is revolving around the Berserk ripping, double dipping. So you just basically like start attacking here this target, and then you see this the damage stacking up indefinitely. This is basically caused by the it's a very simple bug actually. It's caused by the Berserk ripping. Berserk ripping basically applies a bleed based on the damage that you've already dealt. And we have an infinite loop here, and we already had this before, but it's just back in the game now, where you're basically like doing bleed damage, then you are using the new Siphon Geisen to transfer that bleed damage that you did into direct damage. Okay, and that direct damage is then triggering Berserk ripping into another bleed, and that is multiplied with everything again. Then we do direct damage again on a lucky hit, and that is then multiplied by Berserk ripping again, applying another bleed, that is then applied as direct damage, and on until infinity it goes, right? It's actually like a pretty, like a straightforward mechanic. Like it basically just, as long as you lucky hit, it basically just stacks up until infinity, right? Like every hit, the damage gets multiplied by all your multipliers again and again and again and again, infinite cycle, and then it obviously is causing this like overflow number. And again, this is a bug that we already had in the game in the past that has been fixed. So I'm also like, obviously, like this is just complete bug. This is the biggest bug on the bar that we have again with Berserk ripping. We already did infinite damage like many times with this. This is, I think, the third time this bug is occurring in the game. And yeah, I'm just happy that we have a PTR, you know, like to kind of look into these bugs and report them to get them fixed, right? Then there's also some problems with duping and some other like bugs that are still going. But this is obviously like some pretty, I would say, easy bugs to address, like this XP bug, then like the bleed infinite dipping, the double dipping, and then maybe we need to look at class balance. But I'm gonna make a separate class balance video. These were just the strongest offenders. Obviously, there is way more feedback that I've already made videos on, that I've also given to Blizzard, like, and many more problems that we have on the dungeon escalation, like being like a pretty underwhelming endgame in my opinion. And then we have some problems with the pits, with paragons, with the bosses and stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff here, but obviously, like, this is exactly what the PTR is for. So I'm just happy that we can find all these bugs. I highly encourage you to always share feedback and share if you find any like completely bugged mechanic that's doing infinite damage or anything like this on the PTR to then, you know, get it changed in the live game. You know, some people say, but yeah, we want the crazy bugs in the game. You know, like, it might be fun for like a day or two to level up like this, or, you know, to do infinite damage on your character. But after some time, you realize it just gets boring because nothing means anything. If you can just get XP, and you can basically go like all the way to Paragon 300 just using this probably, right? So it basically is going to be fun for like a day or two, but then at some point it's getting boring. If you have infinite damage, all your gear doesn't matter, you get infinite XP or some bullshit like this, it's not healthy for the game. And having this like math problems and double dipping and all this stuff, it's just been going on for 2 years now. I really hope that we can like finally, you know, get all these bugs sorted out and fixed. So highly encourage you to share it, guys. And I'm definitely going to continue to make videos and share the stuff, so we can have a more, you know, like healthy game for the next season, and also not to, you know, hope some wrong expectations here for people. So the bleed buff is going to get nerfed probably, guys. The Hydra sword, double dipping, the bugs are probably going to get nerfed. And I think these builds, especially the Hydra and the Thorns, are still going to remain strong. I think like bleed buff definitely, and flay and basic skills and core skills in general need some help. And really hoping there is going to be compensation also for the Spiritborn if they fix the crazy double dipping that's been going on with the Jaguar since October. So fingers crossed for that, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will have an update here for like the best classes and some class balance here very soon. Take care, my friends. GG. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.